Okay, we're going to call the Development Review Committee meeting to order. It is 9:01 on August 11th. First is self-introductions. Eric Scher, Community Development Director.
Cody Howing, RK Consulting Group.
Dominic Milano, City Engineer.
Maya McCurley, Associate Planner.
Richard Martinez, Public Works Department.
Candace Bocock, Principal Planner.
Thank you, everyone. This is the time set aside for public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Anybody wishing to submit public comments, we're encouraged to do so via email prior to the meeting and or send their phone number in to be able to talk during public comment this morning. We did receive comments on two of the one email, which was forwarded to the Development Review Committee members on two of the items on the agenda. So we'll talk about that briefly once the items are up. Otherwise, we did not receive any other public comment for items not on the agenda. And I'm just checking my email real fast to make sure there's nothing else that's come in. 1 second. And seeing none, we'll move on. First item on the agenda is a continuance of case number 4620 or PPR 2663 COA. Candace, do you have your updated report?
Yes. So like Eric said, this is a continued item due to DRC having some concerns regarding parking. The fire department has some fire department access concerns, which was why it was continued. During the time that they had the comments back from the DRC from the last time, the applicant decided that they didn't need quite as large of a building as what they had originally asked for. So it went from, or it went down to only 386 square feet instead of the 1,349 square feet that they were asking for before. So significantly less. So now the total office building will be 1,932 square feet, with the warehouse, which also is a little bit smaller, down to 3,971 square feet. All the setbacks, they meet all the setbacks. The front setback remains the same. Nothing's changing to the front except for the design of the building. The applicant was previously proposing a gate with 2 parking stalls in front of that gate and then the other 13 parking spaces were behind the gate. The DRC recommended shifting that with a landscape planner and trying to accommodate some parking and fire concerns. In the end, the applicant is now proposing to place a gate more at the front of their building. Before it was back here. Now they're going to put it here to secure the parking in the area behind their building. And it would be open during all office hours, so anyone visiting the site could have access to the back to park there. The elevations changed significantly. The building right now is just, you can see it in the photos, it's just a smooth stucco finish building. Not a lot of details to it. The previous proposal had mixed batting siding, batten siding, concrete cast finish, and a couple other design features. Now they're basically keeping the stucco and then adding this very small area of stone under this window. The front elevation, which is obviously seen from Sierra Way, it only features this small raised deck area with the stone. Everything else is proposed to be stucco. This is going to be the most visible spot. There is a giant tree here, but it's still pretty visible from Sierra Way. So staff is recommending that the DRC possibly add, or I did put a condition in there about adding some other element to it. This was the previous proposal. It had a lot more element to it. So either we add stone to the chimney, it's visible, or even adding this maybe even to the top half here, something more on the front. And I did add a condition to add more material, whether or not you guys want to keep that, or if you think this is fine. The warehouse basically stays the same as what they were proposing, that elevation. Before they did have posts here and here, and it looked as if it was holding up the awnings. Now the awnings are just floating over with no post. And then for parking, the newly remodeled office building, like I said, is almost 2,000 square feet, requiring 8 parking stalls. The new warehouse building is almost 4,000 square feet, which requires 4 parking stalls. Therefore, the total number of parking spaces required is now 12 instead of the original 15. The site plan provides for 14 parking spaces, which is consistent with the code, 1 over. And yeah, it meets all of the parking requirements. And the fire concerns are now met. I know the fire department is not here, but I did talk with them. They added some of the conditions that are in the conditions of approval regarding this turnaround needing to be, painted, and making sure that no one is parking in any of those areas. They also required that the fire underground sprinklers and alarms are under a separate submittal, and that the warehouse is required to be sprinkled, which was not a previous meeting.
Okay, so what do you mean by underground sprinklers?
I copied her email and put it in here. Those were her exact words, fire underground. They're not sprinklers, but any sort of underground that's needed for fire. I'm not completely sure what it is.
Maybe she missed a comma or something like that.
I even asked again, and she said the same thing. So that's why it's here. They did review the plans. The turnaround is enough room and for this property.
The shaded area is a turnaround.
Yes. Landscaping. The municipal code is very specific on parking lot landscaping because there's not 8 in a row. It doesn't necessarily require any planter fingers. It's also very hidden in the back here, and their customers are really the only ones who will be seeing it. So I don't think that it's required to add any landscape fingers. Staff is suggesting that another planting area be added adjacent to the north side. So here, right next to the building, there's this kind of no man's land with right next to the ADA parking spot. I was recommending some sort of planter be added here. Just to add something up against the building so it's not blacktop and then concrete. I think that's everything. And lastly, like Eric said, public comment was received regarding traffic in this area. You guys all got a copy of that and have it. So staff's recommending that the DRC approve case number 46-20 PPR based on the staff report and the findings and conditions of approval.
Committee members have questions of staff?
Is that hydrant still gonna be right there, and that's gonna be a private hydrant?
Yeah, right. So
That's still.
there'll be a little planter there, I guess.
That's private.
Yes.
Other questions? They are currently located on that street down the block, correct?
Yeah, 2
And
doors
basically
down.
all they're doing is moving that facility to this location, which they now will own versus leasing.
Right, and they moved already.
Okay, so as far as there's no generation of additional traffic based on this development, because it subtracts from what they have already.
Yes, but someone else could go into that facility, but
Somebody
it's
else
a permitted use and, yeah.
West property line. Didn't see anything on the plan for a new wall there. Currently, that is wide open, or at least according to the aerials, is wide open to the adjacent property because it was under the same ownership as the area.
Yes,
Is there a condition to put a wall in?
they pulled a fence permit
Okay.
to put a wall there, and it was approved, it hasn't been built yet.
Comment that I had at the last meeting was LID.
Yes,
I don't remember seeing a condition for the LID. And that needs to be added to the, as a condition here, because if they're gonna repave that, it's over 5,000 square feet or whatever the criteria is, so the LEDs are gonna kick in. Which then leads you to your comment concerning the planter adjacent to the rear elevation of the existing house office, whatever you want to call it at this stage. Probably is a good idea to have it there. And you may have to have some permanent paving in that area too to meet the LED requirements.
Okay. So we can add a condition that just says they need to meet LED requirements prior to.
Yes.
Do we have that already in the standard condition checklist? Because it should be, we should add it to standard conditions because it's gonna pretty much
Yeah, it's,
be it for most projects.
Yeah.
I think that was it. I have other comments concerning the elevations and stuff, but that's for more of a discussion later. Cody, do you have anything for?
I guess one thing just to expand on the LIDs in line with that, that they'll need to mitigate their runoff, their peak runoff rates, because if that ends up being paved and it's not paved, there's gonna be a reasonably significant amount of water coming off compared to existing conditions. So it's sort of all in one with it, but just another detail.
We are requiring it to be paved, right? I don't want it to be approved and them to decide not to pave it.
It's
We're
required.
required to be paved, so,
I believe that was a condition in the CUP.
yeah,
We can add it to this.
I would do, just to be safe, because we want it to be paved.
Now, I saw something in the staff report, Kansas, I can't find it again. I was reading this last night, was, I thought it was gravel paving, I was almost thought they already did it, but I don't. And if they have done it, well, they still have the LEDs up there, right?
And they are obviously a concrete contractor, so I
They're good at
assume this would, they'll know.
Yeah,
But these are
and
things
they're
we
good
want
at
to
it.
My only question, and I agree, I think I want to have a discussion on the elevation. What about the gate placement and not having any public spaces in front of it? Typically on industrial properties, that's a minimum, is that we have some publicly accessible spaces so that visitors, but they've indicated the gate would be open during their business hours to where anybody visiting the site would have access to that back area. To where I guess we can condition that, even though this isn't the CUP, but condition it if we're going to allow the gate to be in the front with all the spaces behind, especially for the ADA access, right? That's going to be an automatic requirement because you have to have access to those parking spaces.
Yeah, and they have ADA shown in the back
Right.
on this plan. I don't have any issues with the gate as it's shown on this plan. I just assume not have the parking in the front for this type of a contractor. This gives us stuff in the back.
Yeah, Sierra is a different street. It's not like San Paulo Business Park where you have 10, 20, 30,000 square foot off or warehouse buildings. This is a contractor's yard.
And as amount of visitors come there, they're gonna be contractors. They're gonna be dealing with these people,
Employee contractors, that's
yeah,
pretty
not
much it.
residential people.
Right. So I agree, but I'd like to have the condition at least placed on this one that the gate to be reminded to open during public hours.
Right.
Or during operating hours.
And they're probably gonna sign it also. Visitors, the big sign is a visual arrow, so people won't stop there.
Right.
All right, my only other, besides design, the elevation does show a sign. Just, you have a condition that's not part of this approval.
It's in the staff report that says it's not, but I can add a condition just to make it clear.
And then condition number 22, which talks about painting the fire lane. Shall be marked no parking and painted red to designate a fire lane for fire code regulations. I would like to add and to the satisfaction of the fire marshal. That way, when they go out there, they're happy and they have something to make sure that they're out there.
Where was that?
Number 22.
And we'll get with fire marshal beforehand, so when we're doing the plan checking on the grading, we generally put the striping on that grading plan too. And Candace and I and Cody had a discussion on it already this morning.
Good. All right, so design. Yeah, I think we want to be more specific now than,
Agreed.
and so, so this is a small little raised deck that I'm seeing with the stone on the face of it.
Yes.
that's on this, that kind of wraps around, but only, it looks like only like a few feet on the front of the building, right?
Yes.
So what, I mean, there's a,
Small.
it's not a planter, it's a, just a,
It's just like the stairs over there. It's just a stone on them.
It's just basically a plan on, isn't it?
yeah, but I mean, it's out like 3 feet maybe.
You can see it here. This little wraparound.
Well, I think it should continue, I guess, and whether it's raised, it's that protrude out from the building or it goes on the face of the building. And have that same stucco continue across the whole front of the building over to the far east side. To have that consistent look on the front, at a bare minimum.
Candace, can you pop up again? Lower right, that one, that's what it looked like previously.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did they get away from that?
Oh,
Granted, on the
right.
side, it looks like it's too much. But in the front,
No, I definitely think, yeah, you can see the addition got smaller, so they don't have this pop out of this window, so.
that's why they stopped it.
So they kept everything. So it obviously required a change of the design because they didn't have that roof change. But I think there isn't a reason that some of this can be utilized.
So you want on the south elevation, which is the front, you want to continue that little raised planter area all the way across the front. Yeah.
At a minimum, but I think that there needs to be something else, right? So
There needs to be something to height or something.
above the windows, we could go back to this
Yeah.
batten board and have the siding and let the middle band be the stucco, but above the
Yeah,
windows up
that's
to the peak of the roof to have to bring that siding back. So we have the stone at the base, the siding at the top, and the stucco in the middle.
Yep.
And then the sign can go over the boarding. On the main peak, I don't know that it works on that sliver of where the roof is, right here. I think that probably ends up staying the same. I don't know. Might be, how far back is that set? It must be just pretty far back. It's that peak right there. So it's about 15 feet or so back. I think that probably stays the same. And just the front, like the front elevation, not the other 35-foot back part. Same with the stone. I don't think the stone should wrap around the corner of the front projection, but it doesn't need to go all the way back to where those stairs are, which are back against this back plane.
Right.
So you could wrap around to the front, 10 feet or so, and that's fine. So you could figure out how to word that in as a condition, update that condition about the design to be more specific about what we expect to see. Still have it for final approval for the director, so I can confirm that it's what we've discussed this morning. Okay. Anything else to talk about on the side? Is there a recommendation to approve with the provided modifications?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Did we talk, excuse me, I'm sorry. Did we discussed enough on the traffic issue of the one email.
Yeah, we read it. We don't have further concerns. Honestly, it was mostly speaking about impact to Metrolink station, and Sierra Way does not go through. It's not a through street, and so there would be no impact directly to the Metrolink station from this project. Correct. I'm going to bring in the applicant for the next item.
Hello.
Larry?
Hello.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. Just asking you to start the video.
All right, I can hear you well.
Okay. You're going to stay off video for this one?
I'm starting it right now. There we go.
Yep. Okay, thanks for joining us, Larry. This is item number B for the University of Laverne's Veterans Center improvements. Case number 72-20 PPR, 1863rd Street. Maya, you have your report?
So the property at 1863rd Street is located outside the university's campus core, but it's been used by the university for educational purposes since 1972 and is currently the Veteran Center, also known as the Sarah and Michael Abraham Center for Veteran Student Success. So this use is consistent with the approved use in the adopted master plan. It's identified for university student services, basically. It's identified for that use for all 3 phases. The DRC had previously approved some additional site improvements to enhance accessibility at this site back in January 2018. Those improvements were for 4 new parking spaces, including ADA spaces at the back of the building, along with a new ADA ramp and concrete walkway. So they're proposing additional improvements to further enhance the functionality and accessibility of the site. Those improvements consist of a 240 square foot addition at the rear of the house, a new 504 square foot patio cover, some new walkways, new ADA accessible ramp, 2 concrete slab areas, and some new landscaping as well. So the proposed addition and patio cover are the most significant changes that will be occurring. The addition at the back of the house will accommodate a new bathroom that has a shower, as well as an expanded kitchen and dining area. And then the addition will basically incorporate all the same features of the existing house. So it'll have same wood siding, river rock veneer, and composition shingle roof. The proposed patio cover will be a freestanding lattice, and it'll be 10 feet in height and will be constructed of an embossed aluminum material that resembles wood. They're going to be constructing a new ADA accessible pathway from the front of the house that leads to the patio cover, and then a decomposed granite walkway that leads from the patio cover back to the rear yard. They're also going to be adding in a new 6 foot tall vinyl fence and gate to kind of separate the front yard area from the rear yard. And then some landscape areas kind of adjacent to this new patio cover, and the landscaping will match the existing landscaping at the site today. They will have 2 new concrete slab areas, one in the southeast corner that's approximately 30 feet by 16 feet wide, and then one in the southwest corner, and then one in the southeast corner that's approximately 15 feet by 10 feet. This one is for proposed future storage shed. In order to accommodate this new concrete slab area, we will have to relocate an existing light pole that was installed as part of the previous improvements that were approved in 2018. So that light pole will be relocated approximately 10 feet west. The university is taking a phased approach, so all the outdoor improvements will be done in the first phase, and then the addition at the back of the house will be done in the second phase. They don't have a firm timeline yet for when that will occur, but they have already begun work on some of the outdoor improvements, like demoing the existing pathway and constructing the new ADA accessible one. And they've been doing that in coordination with building and safety and with their approval. So the project site is located in the Lordsburg institutional zone of the Lordsburg specific plan and is bounded by Lordsburg residential to the north, east, south, and west. The Lordsburg institutional zone states that setbacks are subject to DRC review. So even though there's no setback standards, the proposed addition and the patio cover both have the 5 foot side yard setback that's consistent with the residential uses surrounding it. And it also complies with the 35% maximum lot coverage required in the institutional zone. With these improvements, the new lot coverage at the site will be 21%. Furthermore, it's consistent with the use identified in the master plan, and it's also consistent with the design and aesthetic of the surrounding houses. The university is proposing to remove some of the camphor trees that are located in the back of the property along the east side of the property line. The city's adopted tree preservation ordinance does identify that camphor trees that have calipers of 8 inches or more are considered to be significant trees. So if they wish to move forward with that process, they would be required to file a tree removal permit application. Furthermore, the municipal code requires replacement of those significant trees based on a certain ratio and replacement ratio and size that's specified in the municipal code. So even though they've identified the removal of these camphor trees on the demolition plan, that's attachment D, the university understands that in order to move forward with that, they'll need to file a separate application. And so the removal of these trees is not within the scope of review for the DRC today. in case number 72-20 PPR. As Eric mentioned, staff did receive a public comment related to traffic prior to this meeting, and that comment was forwarded to the DRC members. So with that, staff recommends that the Development Review Committee approve case number 72-20 PPR based on the staff report and the findings in the draft conditions of control.
Thanks, Maya. Community members have questions on this project?
Only one. Larry, you obviously didn't dress up for this meeting. This is
did.
the most I've ever seen you.
I did.
Oh,
Seen you before.
no. I have no questions.
Richard? So on the camper trees, Larry, are they all over 8 inch in caliber?
I don't think they are. I'm not sure. We're going to check and see. The main reason is they're a mess. And some of them don't look healthy. I don't know if we would take all of them out, but we definitely talked about thinning a couple of them out because they're overgrown. They're into the neighbor's property as well. So we'll just reevaluate that as a separate line item.
Okay, I mean, we're here now, and this is the first time knowing about this. And I'm assuming you're not gonna want to replace 4 to 1 and ask for a different ratio
Not really, because I don't know where we put them.
unless you want to put them off-site, right? Or somewhere
Yeah,
else.
they'd have to be off-site somewhere.
Yeah, so
So-
that'd be okay.
Okay,
Otherwise, you'd request a lower ratio, which would have to come back to the DRC. So
right.
I was like, we could solve this now, but we don't have the tree removal application, so not really. So I guess those are your options moving forward. If any of them are over 8 inches, you can either relocate them somewhere else on the university property at a 4 to 1 ratio, or come back to DRC for a lower ratio.
Okay.
So
I have a feeling it's now, given the current budget that we have, we'll probably just leave them for right now.
yeah,
And just move forward down the road when we make a decision.
okay. Larry, did you have any other questions or comments?
Nope.
All right, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Project's approved, Larry. Congratulations.
Great.
You can move forward with Maya.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Still have not received any other comments or public hearing items. So with that, unless the committee members have anything else, we can adjourn the meeting. Okay. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.